we just recording now? Yeah, can you restart? You got it. All right. So, Rece Emplit, you are from.
Cleveland, Ohio, but if you want to be specific, a little town called Worcester.
Okay, so that makes sense because you got Cavs stuff on your desk, but you also have Cowboy stuff on your desk. So it's
Correct.
kind of hard to get a read on it. Obviously, the Cowboys being America's team.
Yeah.
But okay, Ohio boy. What? I mean, yeah, Florida. Talk to me about how you got here.
Yeah. So graduated college.
Where'd you go?
I went to Cleveland State
Cool.
up in Ohio. COVID happened, and my entire senior year was going to be online. And I didn't like the idea of taking online courses from Ohio. So I had some family that were living in Jacksonville Beach. And I was like, hey, would you care if I came and finished my college career down there in Florida? And they're like, yeah, come on down. So came down, I've been here for about a year and a half now. Loved it. Flew back for graduation, and the next day flew back here and started my life. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and what would you major in? Like, what would you kind of your interests?
Yeah, so I started out as a digital film and media major originally.
Get out.
Wanted to do filmmaking and all the behind the scenes stuff.
Here we are.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, here we are.
But then as I got into it, I was like, you know what? I just don't think this is for me. And I switched to finance and real estate minor. So
okay, so you've been tracking real estate for a little while.
Yeah,
It wasn't
for
just
sure.
like when we spoke to Lewis last week, kind of having a sales background, just changing from whatever you're selling. You kind of
Right.
already were like, real estate's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think from like a young age, even from my mom, like she had HGTV on all the time, and they
Right.
have all those property flippers and
Oh, yeah.
the new Selling Sunset, all those shows.
Exactly.
I think I always had an interest in it, and it was just something that I always loved the idea of helping people find their forever home.
Right, and everybody thinks now that they're on Selling Sunset, so
Right.
it's one of those things where like there's already going to be natural drama in real estate. You don't
Yeah.
have to create it. Also, no one's watching you.
Right.
Right, so like, why don't you just do the things that you're supposed to be doing, the right things,
Exactly.
versus things that's going to get the most amount of attention. That's too wild. So you came in, you're like, real estate, this and that. At what point were you like, I'm gonna get licensed, or you kind of already knew, like, even when in college, you're like, I have to get licensed? Like,
Yeah, so I knew I was going to get licensed. It was just figuring out whether I was going to be doing it in Ohio or doing it here. And after I'd come down here, I pretty much made the decision that I was going to be getting licensed down here, which was kind of a waste in a sense because I took all the classes back in Ohio just to redo everything here.
right,
But thankfully, was able to get it hammered out pretty quickly and
right.
get rolling.
Well, so we have discontinued it since. We've kind of put a pause on it, but you actually were one of our scholarship agents.
Yeah, I was.
We were providing a scholarship program to people who were interested in getting licensed, and we'd pay for you actually to go to school. And Rece was probably one of the last recipients, to be honest with you, because you're here how many days now?
I think today is 71.
71. So yeah, Lewis was inside 90 days, not a scholarship recipient, but still, by the time you pass the course, do the state exam, all these things, like, that kind of 70 days is really not that long, especially
No,
jumping
not at
in.
all.
I mean, even like having the interest of real estate, but actually being in the business, 71 days is pretty wild. Let's kick your stats around. What are you rolling with right now?
So just executed number 7 this morning.
Love that.
Hopefully got 2 more coming later this afternoon. So
If you can get off the desk.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, for sure.
Exactly. How you have any closings yet?
So first closing is actually Thursday.
Okay.
So pretty
Awesome.
excited for that. Everything's kind of just been happening pretty fast for me, and I've been hitting the ground running. So
Right, exactly. Give me kind of like your feedback on leadership. I know, like, I see you talking to Brittany a lot. I know you chirping Brett's ear a lot. What's the added value that you think you have with our leadership staff that you might not have if you were just like, I'm gonna go into real estate, and just like threw yourself into some brokerage and you're just like figuring it out?
right, yeah. So I think more than anything, just having someone to bounce those ideas that you're having yourself off of. I mean, coming in fresh into real estate, you don't really know what you're doing, and just having Brittany and Brett and even Dennis, DJ is always available as
Of
well
course.
to just message them, or they're always in the office as well. Just be like, hey, how would you approach this situation, or how would you approach this situation? It's just I can't say enough good things about having them in the office and being able to help us constantly.
Right. I remember hearing, because we actually don't sit that far from each other. I remember hearing you and Brittany talking about whether it was some sort of potential cancellation or some sort of debacle. Like, being able to save something like that
Yeah.
could make or break. I mean, hopefully it won't because you have 3, 4, 5 other pending,
Right.
but especially just starting out, that's like kind of discouraging and
Hmm.
heartbreaking,
For sure.
right? So being able to save a deal like that with knowledge of like, oh man, I could have done this versus let's do this,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Let's do this and save this deal. Um, what is it like? Where's your family at with this? You're like, man, Reese really just took this off. He's just running with real estate. Or are they kind of like, hey man, are you getting in too deep? What are you doing? We never see you again. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they've been hitting me up a lot more lately, just checking in to make sure I'm all right, because they know that, like, I mean, I'm like constantly busy now. I don't have any time to do really anything anymore. I mean, but it's nice because I want to. Like, I create my own schedule. I want to continue to stay busy. I love staying busy. I don't like just having downtime.
Right.
So being able to create my own schedule and work as hard as I want to work is been phenomenal. But they are always checking. They're like, are you sure you don't want to take a break and slow down a little bit? I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, let's
Right.
go.
You become obsessed.
Right. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I was talking to Theo about it, and like, after you get one, it's like, oh my God, I got to get another.
Just hungry.
And it's like another, and it becomes an obsession.
Yeah. I don't even know now, probably 8, 9 months ago, I interviewed, we used to do a different setup like this. And I interviewed one of the St. Augustine agents and he only had 3 pending. He's one of our top earners, Scott Dustin.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm in a slump. I only have 3 pending. I'm like, some agents will sell 5, 6 homes all year.
In a year. Yeah, exactly.
So and that's what he said. He's like, but for 3 pending for this team, it kind of makes you feel like you're in a slump.
For sure.
And it's not necessarily, and we were talking about it with Lewis, is like, yes, you're in competition because they make their own schedule, they do their own business, but at the same time, having the support of, hey, can anybody open a door for me? Or you just set an appointment, you can kind of throw it, get that referral within network and not have to worry about, is so-and-so going to show up? Like, I met this person at an open house. Is this person trustworthy? I don't know them from Adam, but they're available for opening a door. So you kind of have that safety net with a brokerage here.
Yeah, it's awesome. Being able to, I mean, like you said, we are essentially competing against each other, but the team that we have here, where people are just throwing appointments into the chat, being like, hey, can someone take this appointment for me, is like, it's unheard of at most places.
Right.
And here it's just a completely normal thing. So, yeah, that's just like an amazing thing about this team. I've felt so welcomed and at home here. It's been crazy. I feel like I've grown more in the 2.5 months here than I have
4 years of school.
Yeah, before, all 4 years of school, essentially. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. That's awesome. So now you're hanging out in Atlantic Beach. That's where you're at. Jack's Beach. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jack's Beach. You're staying with family. You got kind of like purchasing your own place on the horizon there. Is that like a goal of yours yet, or you're just like, I don't even know where I want to be yet?
No, 100% gonna be getting my own place here soon. Just,
I love that.
Banking everything right now.
Perfect.
And gonna continue to bust my ass and
right.
make as much money as I can.
Yeah, you're doing it. You're doing it. So talk to me about anything kind of wild that you have seen. You're just like, dude, real estate was a lot more wild, a lot more creative than I thought it was. Like, have you been on a showing where you're like, that did not go as planned? Or you show up and you're like, man, these people gave me a run for my money on the phone, but I showed up to the showing. They were like the warmest, most welcome people. Like, anything kind of crazy that's happened to you so far?
I think more than anything, it's just like the little things with people. Like, something that you would think would be like not an issue at all to somebody else is like a giant issue. Like a leaky faucet or something like as simple as a doorknob, or any reason that someone can find to back out or like not proceed forward with the home is just crazy to me. And like the littlest thing sometimes blows my mind.
Well, it's like a cold feet scenario, right?
Yeah.
It becomes super real. You're like, hey, we're putting in this offer. Like, is this one we want? Not realizing like it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Like, things are going to happen. You're going to feel that way. And it's a matter of how you deal with that versus you flee, because now it's like, okay, well, is this person even serious?
Right. Exactly.
Right. Like, and I know it's funny that we talked about Theo. He said he has a pretty good compass as to like how serious someone is with not necessarily like a buying question. So a buying question is basically something like, what would put you in this house? Of the things that we just saw in this house today, what would make you put an offer in on this house, or what wouldn't make you put an offer in on this house? And then that kind of makes it real for these people. Like, yeah, I mean, we walked around this place and there was really nothing there that would cause me to do that. But right, when you're there, you're like, well, I didn't like the color or the cabinets, or that faucet did drip. It's like,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And at first, I really struggled with that, because when you're new, you want to keep everybody you can and nurture them and
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
help them purchase a home. But then you realize, like, lately, I've just been really digging into the people that I know are serious about purchasing, and I think that's gone a really long way in the amount of contracts I've gotten. So,
Well, and the way you spend your time,
right,
right? Like
exactly.
you're talking about how much effort and time you're putting into this.
Hmm.
That's only going to scale your bank account,
Exactly.
right? Versus working yourself to the bone and you're selling 6 homes.
Hmm.
And that's what we were kind of talking about with Lewis too, is would you rather be somebody that you're the go-to guy for real estate and you sell 6 homes and make 40 to $60,000 a year,
Right.
or nobody knows they know your name as far as like, oh yeah, I worked with Rece, I've done this,
Hmm.
but no one's like, you got to use Rece, but your GCI is in the 400,000,
Right. Exactly.
right?
And that I'm not so much worried about at all, honestly.
Personal brand.
Yeah, not at all. I'm totally 100% for this team. There's no one else I think I'd rather be with, or any other situation. Just being a part of this team and the encouragement and just the people here is like incredible.
Right.
So, not worried about getting my name out there at all. Just worried about finding people homes and putting them in the best situation possible.
And learning. So let's jump back to your education a little bit. So you kind
Yeah.
of had that real estate background in
Hmm.
education. When you got here, minus the course, minus everything, once you sank your teeth into the actual business,
Hmm.
were you like, this was nothing like what I learned in school? Or was it more kind of like, this is right on par with like what they're teaching you in a university?
I would say it's completely different.
Okay.
Not even remotely close. I feel like I've learned way more in the classes that we have here than I did in all the classes I took back in university.
Right.
Um, so it's night and day. And these are much better because everything here is hands on.
And value, it's value add,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So
Um,
I mean, that's important because one of the things that a lot of people do look for is education.
mhm.
And real estate is a place where you do have to kind of have continuing education. So obviously we offer those services to our
Yep.
agents here too, but the classes that you guys are doing aren't actually further a continuing education, but the education it's applied,
Mhm.
right? It's the difference between calculus 1 and physics 1. It's the same math, it's just a math, it's just where it's applied,
Yep.
right? So you're learning the same things, potentially even more, but it's just applied as real time situations. I mean, I know you guys talk about objection handling all the time, which is what we spoke about is like was a huge hiccup for you. It's
Yep.
like the faucet this or the doorknob that.
Mhm.
It's an objection.
Right.
How do you handle that? How do you tell your client like, guys, $30 at Home Depot and we're out of the woods? Like,
Exactly.
what's the real issue here?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, we absolutely love you. Like I said, we don't sit too far away.
Mm.
So I hear how leadership talks to you and how
Yeah.
energetic and enthusiastic you are. So I appreciate you coming on and talk to us. I think you have a huge, huge future here. And we got to get you out to a Jags game, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I know you're a Cowboys guy, but we got to get you to a Jags we got to get you to a Jags game.
Yeah. Love the Jags though. Got to root for them now.
Right? It's your hometown
Yeah.
team here now.
Especially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hometown now, baby.
All right. Well, hopefully we can turn their season around like you've turned your life around by coming here. So, all right, man, we appreciate you talking.
Yep. Thanks so
Take care,
much.
man.
Appreciate it.